I thought I was making the right decision when I didn't want to give any specific. Well, people are going to laugh at me for saying this, but I guess it's better to say it when you're down rather than when you're up. So even still, I'm non-deterred in the fact that I want at least one international by the end of this year.
So I'm joined with the head coach of Shopify Rebellion, Reven. Unfortunately, you guys lost today. I think that makes you guys go down 0-3. You guys haven't really had the hottest of starts, and this is a shorter split. Over 20% of the split is done with just these three games. How is the team atmosphere? Are you guys panicking already? Like, what's going on behind the scenes?
Um, this week is terrible, and that's primarily my bad because the one I thought I was making the right decision when I didn't want to give any specific direction and draft when because we were splitting time this week with Turtle and Bevoy because Turtle already had like 2 to 3 weeks of practice, and he also played well in week one. So I was more willingly, I was more willing to give him like an extra week to have him play before B-Boy gets settled in. And then I pondered about it for way too long and made the decision way too late. And that hurt the team in matters of cohesion and sort of non-direction. Like today's draft, for example, it wasn't really anything that we are neither originally good at, nor was it something that we practiced a lot, which showed in our play. I think despite the losses being all three, the performance level is significantly different between week one and two, and that doesn't necessarily have to do anything with the individual level of the players. It was more so that there was lack of leadership and direction going into the weekend, and that is basically entirely on me. So that was how this week is. I think everyone wasn't really too down after the end of week one, which might rub some people off the wrong way. But yeah, this week's, or rather today's loss, felt very different compared to last week's loss for various reasons.
I agree. That was going to be my next question. Is it did feel like last week there was a better understanding of the game, like there were clear strengths and what you guys were trying to do. This week felt like you guys were kind of directionless, and you actually use that same terminology. I guess my next question is, what has the team environment with bringing in Bevoy and trying to integrate him, and how has that been for the rest of the four players?
I would say he's integrating well, in my opinion. His English is pretty moderate. He's played a lot of games with not only Zazel but with the team as well. He didn't really get to showcase a fantastic game today, which is bad, but I think his integration for the most part is good. And also, when is this being released?
I was gonna release it maybe to tomorrow, but I can whenever if there's a specific time.
Yeah. Another big part of why we were sort of directionless was that we basically had like one Joker pick slash like team comp ready, and then it got headshot and draft, and there was like an option B that would fit the same theme of the draft that we were originally supposed to be okay with doing, because by the time we were supposed to decide like essentially the 4 5s, we had to go with that style of comp anyways, because we were so committed to it, not only in matters of practice, but in also the champs that we picked. But we didn't get to do it because a crucial pick got banned, basically, and it caused panic, which made us basically just arbitrarily put in two random champs because of it, which is the added on reason as to why it was more chaotic compared to, because the week one games were pretty stable for the most part up until there were like critical moments where we lost, but this game was just a complete collapse against the last place team. So that's tragic.
All right. What was your idea when you put this roster together? And this roster came together. First of all, is this a like we want to make international play this year sort of like project? Is it hey this is like a development like give us like 2 years plus to until we make international?
Um, I well, people are going to laugh at me for saying this, but I guess it's better to say it when you're down rather than when you're up. So even still, I'm non-deterred in the fact that I want at least one international by the end of this year. And my general philosophy for the the construction of this roster was that I wanted to create an environment where I wanted people to come into work like excited to work with each other, work on themselves, talk about the game, get better at the game, discuss multiple ideas, so on and so forth. And um, this, I can understand why people can either label it nepotism or so on and so forth, because that is essentially what I did, which is I just kind of I sort of imagined scenarios where I would put people from my experience that I thought would rub off of each other well, and then that would create like a very good environment and synergy is the metric slash philosophy that I used to get these five people together. Like the three people from C9C, they had good synergy and good environment with each other. The three people from TSM, and I thought Bvoy could also be a good fit to whichever party because he's also a very flexible person in whatever team setting as well, and that's why it came to be.
All right. As a Shopify fan, I'm very happy that you have this sort of outlook. First of all, that you're taking responsibility, which I know from TSM that you do that. And then second of all, like not being deterred with these losses and still having that goal in mind and setting a culture of like I want to come and work hard and not like oh man or like I don't want to do this or fear, which is in my opinion the worst type of environment to be in. You also mentioned Bvoy and like people calling it nepotism. I don't know if you know, but I did make a video basically saying like, hey, Reven's bringing in Bvoy. Shopify hasn't said anything. If Bvoy sucks, is this just nepotism? Like if he's great, then clearly Reven used something we don't. But I don't know if you knew I was the one. But from what I saw today, he played the best probably he could. He had his happy feet going.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so my last question is actually about FakeGod and not so maybe a little bit Bvoy, but at least FakeGod. Like last week, he got a lot of pressure after the first two games, like from fans and whatnot, and even going back to his time on Dignitas, he talked about how that has affected him. He hasn't had the greatest start these first three games. Um, do we need to be worried about FakeGod? Is he like collapsing under the pressure? I've heard a lot of rumors that he was like smurfing in scrims. So the fact that he's not showing up, is that something as fans we should be worried about?
I think he wouldn't admit it like either uh, like personally to me or publicly to an interview, but I think it's just more or less like stage jitters, and he's back on the LCS stage for like on a more consistent schedule and playing against bigger names per se, and showing his gameplay to many more people compared to NACL. But like he has basically like the perfect attitude. He's just like he's always like in even during scrims he's always try hard, and after scrims he's like always 1v1ing or looking at matchups or like just studying VODs all the time. He's the most diligent player that I've met so far across like 100 players that I've worked with in the past. And it will, my firm belief is that after some time, it will come to fruition And that was the premise of why I brought him on to begin with. And it is just my job to try to get that sooner before either people lose faith in us, or even within that happens, or rather, I'm trying to avoid that happening, because I know it's very different. Where I think I'm more okay with losing right now, because I kind of not expected this, but like I was okay with this happening as long as we were getting somewhere internally, because I didn't like no one like expects Shopify Rebellion on paper to start out 3-0 or something, or first place, or matching C9. So as long as there is consistent, visible progress, it should be fine. But that has failed in week 2, and that is entirely my fault. So that's the main issue that I need to change in comparison to week 1.
All right, man. Thank you. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the interview. And I'll, as Shopify fans, we'll keep rooting behind you guys and keep giving you guys support.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for watching. Week 2 LCS interviews are way better than week 1. You'll notice better audio, better video, better questions leading to better answers. I'm really enjoying getting these interviews out to you guys, so please subscribe if you like them. I'm trying to sign up for the League Partner Program, the LPP, and need 1,000 subs for that, so keep them coming, please.